It's still fairly chilly across Shetland, but elsewhere, double figures, maybe 13 Celsius. But more wet weather will pep up through the afternoon and evening for Northern Ireland and then across Scotland. Quite a wet evening. A band of rain will swing across England and Wales. That could be quite lively for a time as well as the winds start to pick up once more. So turning blustery and also colder for Wednesday. We should see a return of some sunshine, but there will be showers across all areas, those showers turning wintry across northern Scotland. So some snow here, mostly over hills, but some to lower levels later in the day. And the winds picking up once more. Temperatures on Wednesday back down to single figures, and add on that wind, it will feel a lot colder. So things fluctuating quite a bit this week. Thursday looks like being a cold day, but with some sunshine before the potential for more wetter weather comes in during Friday and Saturday.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else. I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Hello, good evening. My name is Simon Evans, and in just a moment, myself and two of the UK's top comedians in the GB News price bracket will be taking a look at tomorrow's papers, thereby saving you the drudgery of having to read them for yourself. But first, here's the news.
Thank you, Simon. I am also Simon. These are your latest news headlines. COVID booster vaccinations are to be offered to all over 18s to help tackle the spread of the Omicron variant. The JCVI has also recommended that the time between a second and third dose be halved to 3 months, and for 12 to 15-year-olds to be offered a second jab. The new advice follows early evidence which suggests that high antibody levels may provide better protection against Omicron. Meanwhile, the Health Secretary has announced 2 additional cases of the new variant of coronavirus in England, taking the UK total to 11. The World Health Organization has described its risk as very high based on early evidence. Sajid Javid confirmed the mandatory wearing of face coverings in shops and on public transport from 4 a.m. tomorrow. Those returning from abroad will also have to self-isolate until a negative PCR test has been issued.
We're learning more about this new variant all the time. But the latest indication is that it spreads very rapidly. It may impact the effectiveness of one of our major treatments for COVID-19, Ronapreve. And, as the Chief Medical Officer said this weekend, there's a reasonable chance that our current vaccines may be impacted.
Prosecutors in the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell have told a court that she preyed on vulnerable young girls and served them up to be sexually abused. But her lawyer has urged the jury not to turn her into a scapegoat for crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein. The British socialite denies recruiting teenagers for Epstein to sexually abuse for 10 years from 1994. The Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has reshuffled his front bench. Yvette Cooper has been appointed Shadow Home Secretary. Wes Streeting is promoted to Shadow Health Secretary, replacing Jonathan Ashworth. He's tweeted, "Labour created the NHS, will make it fit for the future." And David Lammy becomes Shadow Foreign Secretary, taking over from Lisa Nandy. More than half of people left without power after Storm Arwen battered the UK have now had supplies restored. But the Energy Networks Association says about 66,000 properties will spend a fourth night without electricity. Boris Johnson tweeted saying his thoughts are with those continuing to face disruption. And Lionel Messi has won a record 7th men's Ballon d'Or in Paris. He now has 2 more than his great rival Cristiano Ronaldo, who has 5. It comes as the Argentinian claimed a maiden Copa America title with his country in the last 12 months. The 34-year-old also helped Barcelona win the Copa del Rey before moving to Paris Saint-Germain in the summer. You are right up to date. Now back to headliners.
Good evening and welcome to Headliners, the show that looks at tomorrow's news stories today. My name is Simon Evans. We live in an era of not merely rolling but relay news, and every day is racing to pass its baton on to the next. Monday, which began with such high hopes only a few hours ago, has almost run its race. Let's see what it has in its clammy little fist to press into Tuesday's outstretched palm. Tomorrow's headlines. Well, The Independent goes with the NHS race to deliver 20 million booster vaccines and how young people are struggling to find jobs. The Telegraph has Joe Biden, who says there is no cause for panic, only mild concern, and Charles acknowledging slavery as Barbados becomes a republic. Also, the MI6 must be more, MI6 must be more open to keep pace with adversaries. Sounds a little counterintuitive to me. The Guardian leads with race to return to 500,000 UK jabs a day as Omicron concerns grow. Plus, there is a photo of Ghislaine Maxwell's accuser, Sarah Ransom, saying she thought today would never come. And very fetching she looks in that beret. The Financial Times has Dorsey quits as Twitter chief and booster jabs widen to all adults in drive to quell Omicron. They are the only paper to use the word quell on that story, as far as I can see. The Mirror has also gone with the vaccine drive with rush jab. That feels like it's trying to be a pun, but I don't see of what. And The Sun has Sherry Smash Horror with a picture of Sheridan Smith, who has presumably smashed something horrifically. The Eye has boosters for every adult in the UK to fight Omicron. I may be the only person to pronounce it that way, but I don't like the Omicron kind of word, as it just doesn't sit right with me. The Metro goes with booster drive to beat OMI. That's possibly the abbreviation we've all been waiting for. And the Times has scrambled to get jabs in arms. Well, the Express has Let's Go For It, booster jab to save Christmas. And the Daily Star never lets us down, Jesus, Mary and Joseph and the wee donkey. I've got a feeling that's going to be a rather off-colour story, that one. So, Josh, let's first look. Obviously, one story is dominating today's papers. It is the emergence of this new strain, this new variant, which has been given this bizarre name, I believe, in order not to upset the leader of the Chinese Communist Party. Is that right? He would normally have been
the next letter in the Greek alphabet would have been Z, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Or Z.
Z, yeah. And because I think it's the World Health Organization who did
they're still smarting for the fact that they actually introduced the virus into the world in the first place.
Yeah, we don't want to have anything to do with it. We don't want to be associated at all. So they've gone with Omicron.
It's a terrible name. I mean, I don't want to get bogged down in it, but it's a really awful name. Delta variant worked. Gamma, beta, all those kind of words. We're all familiar. Omicron, it sounds like...
a superhero or...
Yeah, exactly. Or a measurement, 0 microns. Actually, it literally doesn't exist.
First of all, it's a terrible virus, isn't it? As well as a terrible name.
Is it a terrible virus? This version of it, actually, there's no indication. All there is an indication is that it's a much faster spreader, which suggests to me it might be lighter on its feet. It might not be carrying quite so much.
Don't we want something that's more transmissible but less virulent?
Exactly
that's the idea,
That's the end
right?
game for all viruses. That's what happens.
Right. Okay. Well, here's hoping. There's been 11 cases so far, hasn't there, in this country?
It's
Although
a huge sample size.
Didn't they say it arrived about a week ago?
Well, there's a cluster that have emerged from the same. I think we might be coming onto this later, but the same source in Essex or something, which they say it kind of traces back to an event. Yeah.
This is all like about getting the boosters out there.
Yeah.
And do the boosters work?
The Independent have put that up on the back. I mean, it could have been any of the papers, but they're saying 20 million booster vaccines. We don't know yet whether they work, do we? Are they not going to have to develop new vaccines if it's got 36 different mutations?
That surely is the point. By the way, rush jab, I think, is rush job, I would imagine.
Rush job, yeah. I was thinking in terms of the Canadian power trio. And
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that was taking a little niche little journey there. No, nothing to do with Spirit of the Radio and other songs that they did. I have no idea. It was just that one.
Well, the 2112 concept album is considered their masterpiece. But anyway, yeah.
You've lost me now. But the point is that we don't know if it'll work. But I think it will. It might provide some defence against it, hopefully, and then we can save Christmas, which is sort of the point, right?
That there's actually a suggestion, possibly, that we have sounds like you're going to get a jab yourself, George, by the look of it. There's a suggestion that it's actually quite mild. Like the symptoms, I don't know if this is how definite this is, but by comparison with coronavirus, which we know, you're really only in the crosshairs if you're quite elderly or have a significant comorbidity. But a bloke our age, in our 50s, you're going to have a rough couple of weeks. You're going to feel like there's an elephant on your chest, and you're going to wish you hadn't caught it. The Omicron version is like a couple of weeks of feeling a bit heavy, a bit leaden, a bit under the weather. And then you get on with life. I mean, I think I would take that, to be honest.
Well, I hope you're right, but different people say different things, don't they? I mean, I thought the BBC guy was saying that it's a bit worrying, and other people not concerned at all. The truth is, nobody seems to know because there's only about 100 people have had it, so that it takes a bit of time, doesn't it, to test it?
We're going to find out in the next couple of weeks.
We are very excited, waiting for that news.
Well, the fact is, if it's got this huge R number, then we might find out by the end of the programme. I don't know. I mean,
that could be.
There's something quite exciting about, I think it's our number in the wild, if you weren't wearing masks and if there were no social distancing, might be up into double figures. It's like kind of Ebola level of
really?
Transmissibility. Yeah.
Well, you're not helping now, Simon, I'll be honest with you.
It's quite exciting. So, anyway, that's in the Independent, but you can probably find that whichever paper drops through your door tomorrow. Moving on, The Guardian has another fairly important story, depending on your politics, the Labour reshuffle, I think.
Yes, Keir Starmer sparks row with deputy over front bench reshuffle. This is in The Guardian. He was accused of not fully consulting Angela Rayner, his deputy, before starting a rejig of his top team.
And is that the timing or the actual... It's not up to her to decide who gets the jobs, right?
No, but basically she made... she was giving a major speech attacking corruption by the government, which is a line that a Labour Party have been taking, and he suddenly essentially went, never mind that, I'm going to swap things around a little bit, and friends of Angela Rayner, or allies as they say, said it was not fair. Like politics has ever been
I like
fair.
Friends of Angela Rayner. Sounds a bit like one of those, it's like a covert mafia operation or something, right. Not 3 times. I'm here with the Friends of Angela Rayner Society. This is not exactly what Boris did about a week and a half ago to Keir, wasn't it? He announced a whole raft of measures which were addressing exactly what Keir Starmer was demanding be addressed.
Yes, but it usually happens with parties on opposite sides, so that they mess each other up, whereas this is Labour doing it to themselves, as they often do.
What do you think about the reshuffle, though? It looks to me like like he's finally, I mean, this is just me, I'm not a Labour voter, so I'll be, cards on my table, but it looks to me like he's finally got a vision for what he wants his version of the Labour cabinet to look like.
It's more that he's always had the vision, but now he can actually finally get it done.
Right.
So promoting Lisa Nandy, it doesn't seem like a promotion, but it is, because that's what their next election is going to be fought over, is this levelling up.
Yeah. So it's a brand new ministry, right?
Yeah.
She'll be choosing wallpaper and furniture for that.
Yeah, and she's against Michael Gove, and if it's about two people who are authentic, she wins hands down.
I wonder which office they've used that's been dropped now that they've got a levelling up minister. What do you think they've...
I think Yvette Cooper going up against Priti Patel. I think I think she might win that one.
Yeah.
I do have, with reshuffles though, do you not think, I find it a little weird, you get used to being a Minister of State for something, and then it's a bit like if you're in an orchestra. I know you're excellent on the bassoon. Have you tried the harp?
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be...
I have always,
I'm not sure
throughout my entire adult life, I have never quite grasped how these people are supposed to get their head around anything as complicated, these briefs as quickly as they do, but they seem to sort of, I don't know. I mean, Lammy as Foreign Secretary, that feels a little bit of a hostage to fortune to some extent.
I mean, we're going to have, again, this another one where we're going to have to wait and see. All of this news in 2 weeks' time, it'll all become clearer. Omicron,
I still base my opinion of David Lammy on his appearance at Celebrity Mastermind a few years ago.
How did he get on?
Oh, it was an absolute shocker, and it is still on YouTube if you want to watch it.
Well, what's he been promoted to, by the way?
Foreign Office, which feels to me like it wasn't a specialist subject. But his general knowledge was really. I think he was asked who was Henry VII, who was Henry VIII's son, and he said Henry VII, which suggests a certain.
All right. Yeah, but people get a bit nervous.
They could be nervous,
but I don't think we should base our politics. I imagine Boris would absolutely smash that whole thing. He'd probably quote the whole of Henry VIII.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
No, I didn't.
I didn't make. I totally made that up. But I do think there does feel like a little bit more quality, or less recognisable names in the cabinet.
It's more, yes, a few more big beasts, and it's less Corbynite, which is essentially what I mean. Kat Smith, she announced that she was resigning because one of the things she's been upset with Keir Starmer about is not restoring the whip to Jeremy Corbyn. So he's basically purging. I don't know if they want to use that word, but he's been purging the Corbyn.
There's another way of saying it: making Labour electable.
Yeah,
would be the other thing. And she actually had a lot of cheek because she says she described herself, Kat Smith, as one of the few remaining red wall Labour MPs. Yeah, that's because you nominated Corbyn.
Yeah.
That's why you're one of the few red wall MPs. Get out of there, get these other people in, and let's win some elections.
It is fairly extraordinary, isn't it, how they managed to frame these things as if she's like the last of like an endangered species or something. You know, why do you think that is?
I mean, and Corbynites in the cabinet, they are an endangered.
Well, they are. They should be. Yeah, they absolutely should be. Well, they should be hunted to extinction.
It's not everyone's point of view.
John McDonnell said this looks like the ghost of Christmas past rather than the ghost of Christmas future, which I thought was a pretty extraordinary thing to say from a bloke who used to wave Chairman Mao's little red book around in the chamber.
The ghost of Christmas past when Labour used to win elections.
Exactly,
Is that what he's talking about?
Which he finds such an affront.
Okay.
Moving on to the next story. I think this is Josh. You've got a story. This is going back to something we briefly glanced against earlier. A KFC, which is the ground zero for the new variant.
Yeah,
is that right?
KFC. This is from the Mirror and the hunt for KFC customers.
Patient zero. It's not ground zero.
So any KFC customers who visited the restaurant at the centre of the
restaurant, we're calling it.
Well, that's allegedly.
That's what we say. Outlet. I think outlet.
I think the idea. I think a lot of people went there for a bargain bucket with a side of this Omicron or whatever, and they're trying to track them all down. It's weird. So it's the Brentwood High Street KFC, which I was actually weirdly there a couple of weeks ago. And then it went to Nottingham, where I remember I drove into the gig
You're like
the next
Prince
night.
Andrew of KFC. Yeah. No, I remember that because I was actually at the Brentwood. There it is. There was a picture of it there. I don't know if we can bring it up at this bit.
I should say at this point that I think Ground Zero is actually South Africa rather than Brentwood KFC.
Well, yeah, no, but we have a local, but it's not Patient Zero for the UK. But I suppose they come in, don't they, from South Africa? But we don't know for that. That might not be the case at all.
As we said just before, 11 days ago, they reckon there might have been some cases here as well. So we don't really know.
We don't know.
But
It could have been somebody could have come from South Africa to Paris. Somebody could have picked it up in Paris. It could be. There's all so many different ways these things slip in.
Right.
So it would be important not to. I personally am very fond of South African wines, and I think it would be nice to keep channels open.
And I quite like KFC.
Yeah, me too.
So,
so everyone's happy. You know?
Well, not at the moment, to be honest with you, but I certainly won't be paying the Brentwood branch a visit anytime soon. Not that I ever went there anyway. We got a local one. It'd be ridiculous.
But they do. I mean, they already had a habit of supplying alcoholic wipes, didn't they? If you ate in KFC,
it's very clean.
I associate that with high degrees of hygiene. Yeah, and lots of antiseptic.
I'm surprised that COVID was able to spread because of those wipes.
Exactly. And the high temperatures, the special ingredients, of course, that's the thing, isn't it? One of them may have been spiked. Ian, is Christmas cancelled? Please answer in as secular a manner as possible.
I hate to be a broken record, but we're just not sure at the moment, to be honest with you. The Christmas party, large-scale Christmas parties are cancelled, it says in capital letters. Big city firms say festive bashes are off for the second year running in favour of smaller team do's in bubbles amid Omicron uncertainty. This is in the Mail. I used to work in a large office for an engineering firm called Oscar Faber.
I thought you were going to say in a bubble.
This is what was interesting. We had the large, the full office do, 300 people, which you brought your wives and partners along, which was actually one of the most painful 3 hours of my entire life. Excruciating. And then we had a smaller one, which was our little lot, 15 of us, where we got absolutely smashed.
Arses on the photocopier.
It was fantastic. And possibly snog someone inappropriately. And although I got my promotion that way, which is great. But and I would have thought there'd be quite a lot of people who are quite relieved at the thought that these major, massive office do's are not going to happen. But again, it depends on whether...
I've got to say, if you're snogging people in the stationery cupboard, that sounds to me more like a transmissible event than a bit of a dinner dance.
There might be less of that going on this year, I don't know.
I like stealing stuff from the stationery cupboard. When everyone's busy, get in that stationery cupboard and get some stationery.
Get some quick rubbers.
Well, this is the
stocking fillers.
This is in the Mail, and it's such a sort of weird non-article because they've got people who are saying that we might, one or two companies have cancelled, and then a bunch of companies might cancel, and then other companies who are saying no, we're not going to cancel. No. So it's like
firms are beginning to scale back.
Maybe they might cancel or not. But the thing that was interesting for me, was the chief executive of UK Hospitality, Kate Nichols, said, and I didn't know this, that supposedly because of all the different recommendations that they've implemented in the hospitality sector, hospitality venues will be far safer places to socialise with family and friends this Christmas than at home. Which seems amazing to me.
Yeah, well, that's quite possible. It's like the difference between flying and cars, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think maybe you just can't argue as loudly out in public with your family.
Oh, well, that's well known, isn't it? I mean, anyone who's got bad news to break to their wife always books a nice table at a restaurant because they know she can't kick off. That's I mean, there's that built-in limit.
Do you think she's fun, Kate Nichols, the chief executive for UK Hospitality? I mean, if she's the main hospitality person,
you would hope so. I bet not.
Come in.
Yeah.
Welcome. Very nice of her, wouldn't it? I mean, I agree with you though. It seems like a bit of a non-story at the moment, but I guess it's a development.
They're just trying to make your skin crawl with the possibility of cancelling Christmas. I think newspapers...
It's not cancelling Christmas. It's cancelling Christmas.
Yeah, but that's part of it. That's part of Christmas. And the other thing is, I think a bunch of companies are going to go, brilliant, we can save ourselves 50 grand on free booze, and we're going to be like, oh, sorry, guys, we just don't want to spread COVID. Save themselves 50 grand.
Well, we're all comedians, right? We've done a few Zoom gigs last Christmas.
Yes.
And the companies loved it, didn't they? Everyone was sat at home. They were given a 20 quid drinks voucher.
They got a little bottle, they got a little box come round, and they were all drinking. And I mean, the gigs weren't as fun as doing them actually there.
Yeah, but there was a certain blitz spirit. I don't know whether it would sustain us through a second round, though. That's a good question.
But I've still got gigs booked in for these Christmas parties.
Yeah.
I haven't had anything cancelled as yet.
Me either.
I guess we'll find out.
I got a new one today, so, good sign.
I lost one today, weirdly.
It's a Josh-shaped hole. We're going to take a break now. We'll be back with part 2 in just a moment. Don't go anywhere because it is the weather next, and that is important.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Hello again. Pretty chilly out there today, but tomorrow temperatures will be quite a bit higher. However, it is going to be a fairly grey Tuesday, and there'll be rain and drizzle in places as well. But it has turned milder across the northwest already thanks to this warm front tucked in here, some warmer air that is slowly spreading its way southwards. Before it arrives, though, with clearer skies, we could see a touch of frost across the southeast until temperatures rise through the night as the cloud moves in, making for a misty, murky kind of night. And at times it'll be quite windy, particularly in the far northeast, although the wind's easing here a little as we head towards dawn. Temperatures, as I say, on the rise. So although close to freezing in some spots this evening, by morning we're up at 8, 9, 10 Celsius. So it's a much milder start, but it's a pretty grey day. Rain and drizzle on and off across Scotland throughout tomorrow and for much of Northern Ireland, northwest England. Some patchy rain at times across eastern England, but much of the south, I suspect, will be dry but fairly drab. Temperatures will be quite a bit higher than today's values. Still fairly chilly across Shetland, but elsewhere double figures, maybe 13 Celsius. But more wet weather will pep up through the afternoon and evening for Northern Ireland and then across Scotland. Quite a wet evening. A band of rain will swing across England and Wales. That could be quite lively for a time as well as the winds start to pick up once more. So turning blustery and also colder for Wednesday. We should see a return of some sunshine, but there will be showers across all areas, those showers turning wintry across northern Scotland, so some snow here, mostly over hills, but some to lower levels later in the day, and the winds picking up once more. Temperatures on Wednesday back down to single figures, and add on that wind, it will feel a lot colder. So things fluctuating quite a bit this week. Thursday looks like being a cold day, but with some sunshine before the potential for more wetter weather comes in during Friday and Saturday.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else, I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners. I'm Simon Evans. With me are Ian Stone and Josh Howie, and we've done the front pages, so time to have a look inside. Josh, the Mail has the story about the Queen handing Barbados back.
Well, I don't think she's handing it back as much as
it's been snatched from her grasp.
Pulled back.
Yeah. She's finally relinquished her grip.
So yeah, Prince Charles touched down in Barbados for the ceremony, the handover ceremony, and I suspect this won't be the first of the journeys that he's going to take doing such things in the future.
Into the Caribbean, particularly?
Well, to any of the realms, yeah. I expect in the future. It seems to be very sad. She had 16 realms. Now the Queen, bless her, has only got 15 realms.
Yeah.
So that.
Do you think that she'll lose all her realms?
There's Mordor. There's a few other realms.
Realm is a word that's rarely used.
I know. It's like
realm.
Yeah.
It's usually used
more ridiculous.
But is she? I mean, are you serious about that? Are there other little?
No, but I mean, in time.
They've not left the Commonwealth entirely, have they?
No, they haven't left the Commonwealth, but as the head of state.
And they were already independent. So this is sort of like a midway. This is just a slight another step.
I mean, there's a position that's been put forward in here and certain people have suggested that because China has invested so heavily in the region and there's like $490 million in Barbados itself,
they don't want the Queen.
They don't particularly want to just start distancing.
Are they going to have Xi on their stamps now then?
Well,
that's
yeah, who knows?
She's still on the money.
If they own
Is Barbados the one where the police officers wear those very dashing white shorts and pith helmet, like they look quite splendid and sort of colonial style?
I don't know.
I think it is. I
hope that's the case.
I hope a few of those things remain, as long as they're still allowed to shoot James Bond location shots out there, that sort of thing. That's the main thing.
I imagine that was part of the agreement. To be honest with you, I've never been one for constitutional questions, though. I don't know. I mean, how much does this matter in the great scheme of things that the Queen is not now head of state of Barbados?
I don't know that Barbados is even particularly important as a money laundering site, which is the main purpose of.
That's all you care about, isn't it, mate? Money laundering.
Our overseas properties, the Cayman Islands, the Virgin Islands. That's what it's all about. Barbados very much a sort of tourist destination, and
it will continue to be so.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah, but if the Chinese have got any sense, I would imagine what they've invested in is hotels,
is the tourism, and they've done a lot of low interest loans as well.
Yeah, that's how they work now, isn't it? They retook possession of an airport in Mozambique, I think it was this week, all of Africa, because they couldn't pay their loans. It's absolutely classic organised crime. But I'm not actually literally accusing China of that, but it's just
now
there are resonances.
Actually, those technical issues could all be down to that was why my mic didn't work.
I feel like they got the Queen in a dark room and said you're no longer head of state, are you? No.
So listen, moving on to the Express, which is a paper which we don't seem to feature that often, but this one has a story. I think it's in most of them. It's on the front page of the FT. It's an important story. Jack Dorsey, who may not be that familiar to people who don't spend their days on Twitter as I do, but he's quit. He's the CEO, the original founder.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's actually also in the Times as well. He wrote a letter. The social media CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, wrote his resignation letter, and he announced he's stepping down. And why is he quitting? Well, there's Paul Singer, who's a billionaire founder of a hedge fund called Elliott, urged Mr. Dorsey to step down as CEO of Twitter because he also owns a financial service and digital payment company, and there's a possibility that there's some sort of conflict of interest. I don't quite see.
Dorsey had also said
it's just billionaires making more money.
Well, it shouldn't be a conflict of interest if Dorsey was trying to remain neutral on the platform as well. Which, I mean, the point of Twitter is it's supposed to be just a platform, not a publisher. So it shouldn't have any editorial line. I have to say, I do like Dorsey. He is an extraordinary. He's an eccentric. He goes for like month-long meditation retreats. He
just
eats
like
one
his
meal
beard.
a day.
That's all you care about.
He looks more like the Unabomber, doesn't he, than a successful. But you know what I mean? He looks like he should be and yet he's very interested in crypto. He's clearly bright. I mean, you know, these people are not idiots.
He's doing okay and everything. I mean, he hasn't been trolled off the site.
No.
He's got too many negative comments.
As he's left, the shares have gone up 11%.
Yeah.
Which is such a diss.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, so it's a good thing. I mean, this letter that he wrote is about 2 pages long, otherwise known as 374 tweets. And
if you can't do it in 280 characters,
it's a long thread.
Then you've got to go revisit.
And this whole letter, and he doesn't actually say why he's quit. So it basically provides,
isn't he?
Yeah, it provides no meaning or facts, just like the website that he formed.
Oh, come on, Josh. Just because you failed to break the 5-figure barrier.
Just because you don't follow me on Twitter.
I love Twitter. I spend so much time on Twitter.
I'm with you. We have long conversations on Twitter.
Yeah,
we have to go into DMs sometimes.
It's like having a saloon bar you can walk into any time, any place, anywhere.
Where people will regularly abuse you.
Yeah, there is that. But then that is like a saloon bar.
It is,
makes me
it's not
the
that
hats
different.
I wear.
It's not that different, yes.
So, OK, the next story we've got is The Independent. They've got a story about the migrant raging on. The migrant raging on, it says. I don't know, what is this? Is that correct?
Yeah, so obviously last week's tragedy with immigrants coming over to the UK in the
and not making it.
And not making it. 27 people died. And the France is saying in the Independent, the reporting that France saying the UK is not taking its share of asylum seekers. Supposedly we've had 30,000 applicants and France has 150,000.
Germany took 1.2 million, but it's probably the reason that Angela Merkel is not going to be in charge anymore. So these things are not easy, but we aren't taking our share, are we?
Yeah, and it's sort of ridiculous. Our Home Office report said that there's a risk that the increased security that they're talking about and the deterrence can encourage cohorts to attempt riskier means of entering the UK. But I don't see what is riskier than what is, we're talking catapult or, shot from a cannon. I mean, this is about as risky. It doesn't get riskier than this.
It's the nudging them back into French waters that gets me, and they're both trying it now, the Brits and the French.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's an unsustainable situation, isn't it? I think, although these things can run on for a very long time.
Unsustainable. What is going to change it unless we provide ferries for migrants to come across and then process them when they get here? But it doesn't seem. Brexit.
How about prison hulks, like in the Victorian era? Just moored 5 miles off the coast.
Well, like Waterworld.
Exactly. Yes.
You
sort of repurpose oil rigs and.
Are you running for government or something?
Maybe
on
your
new platform.
We'll come to him later. I do think that there's kind of building up a head of steam over this, and it is partly, I think, because Macron is trying to look strong, because he is trying to reassure right-wing voters. I think this is going to come up later on in the programme. But, there's an election where there is, Le Pen remains strong, and he's also got this other Zemmour, character.
But this is the same. This is the same over here as well. It's Boris Johnson trying to keep the Tory party happy as well.
Yeah.
I would say.
Because I think his instincts are to let them in. Actually, I think Johnson's instincts actually are quite pro-unchecked immigration. I don't think it's an issue for him the way it was for May. For instance, May it was a red line.
Yeah, but would you say? I'm not sure you'd say that as someone who made Priti Patel Home Secretary. So I don't know. I'm not totally sure. What I would know is there's not a lot of comedy in a story like this, really, is there?
I think there is an argument that you make someone like Priti Patel Home Secretary in order to cover for the fact that you don't give a damn about it, but you've dealt with it by kind of installing somebody who is the. You know what I mean? She looks like something out of Allo, doesn't she? Do you want to she does in the pictures I've got of her anyway. Ian, the Telegraph has two rock legends. It says rock legends. I'm not sure that's good.
But they rock,
they're a bit more pop, aren't they?
Well, all right. We're talking about rock's best frenemies, a history of Rod Stewart and Elton John.
I hate that word so much.
I hate it.
Sounds like the part of your organ that gets sore.
I do like Rod Stewart and Elton John, though. They've been insulting each other over the years. This is in the Telegraph. They've always weathered a turbulent friendship, but basically, Rod Stewart, 76, he's 3 years Elton John's
They've both got names on which their surname sounds as much like a Christian name as their first name does. Stewart and John. You could say it's Stewart and John.
That's true.
And it becomes confusing. So can you call them by their first names? I know that's a bit kind of...
Rod
like
the Mod and
Elton.
Pudgy Piano, whatever they called him, from Pinner. And that was Elton.
Key botherer.
Who I love. I've both written great songs.
It's
anyway,
a pantomime,
basically, Rod Stewart told a US talk show host, Andy Cohen, that the tour... This is Elton John's farewell tour, which has been going on for about, 100 years.
There she is with her mum.
He said the tour...
Which one is that?
He didn't talk to... Basically, he said the tour was a dishonest ploy to earn money that stinks of selling tickets. That's any tour, isn't it?
The last 30 years of either of them.
Yeah, but what sort of tour does not sell tickets?
If you've created new music and you've got something new to say, then it feels a little bit less like I'm going to wheel myself out at the age of 80 and then have to abandon the tour halfway through because I need a hip operation. There is a little bit of desperation in that, isn't there?
I see what you're saying, but I saw the Rolling Stones a few years ago at Glastonbury. Let me tell you, you were there, actually. We discussed it afterwards. They didn't play anything from after about 1980, did they?
Even Start Me Up was written in 1971, apparently, and not considered good enough at the time. When I discovered that, I had a real kind of perspective shift of just what their career has really looked like.
But since maybe the 80s or the 90s, there hasn't been that much music, and they're still out and about. I don't see there's a bit of a problem, but the two of them have this sort of weird little feud going on. I think it's quite sweet.
Apparently, they refer to each other as she, and they call each other dear, and they've got nicknames like Agnes and Sheila or something.
I think they were given nicknames. I did read it amongst all this, but I started to...
It's old school theatrical camp. I like this. In this era of confusing gender identities and the minefield of all of that, it's quite nice. There's a couple of old you know, just show business troopers who just refer to each other as she, just out of good old-fashioned spite.
Well, it's not Blur and Oasis, is it?
No,
let's be fair. It's, I mean, that was serious nastiness there, whereas this seems a bit of fun. Although I think Elton bought Rod for one of his weddings. He bought him a £10 Boots voucher. Something nice.
He does like Boots, though.
Pretty funny.
Yeah. I think there is one important difference, I will say. Rod Stewart is a great vocalist, but Elton John is a genius composer of popular song, which Rod Stewart has never written a song in his life, I don't think, although he did make a fantastic model railway set. His model railway kit is amazing, and he came to the rescue of some lovely old men who'd built a model railway in a kind of shed, in a like communally held shed, and some vandals broke in and destroyed it with absolute wanton vandalism. Rod heard about this and paid for and funded the complete...
Rod Stewart model trains, you are hitting the core GBN demographic
here. Did they have a model bus replacement service?
Yeah, very nice. I don't know.
Weeks.
Right, time for an ad break, it says. That can't be right, can it? We can't already have an ad break already, can we? Well, maybe we do. Ad break? Yeah.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.
And if you want the GB News app, you can click and catch up on programmes anytime.
We love to hear from you, so email us.
gbviews@gbnews.uk.
Thanks for being part of the GB News family.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
I'm Colin Brazier. I've reported from more than 70 countries around the world, covered wars from Afghanistan to Iraq, from Lebanon to the Balkans. I'm trying to bring that experience, that feel for events, to the studio. And something else, I'm ready to give an opinion. Today's stories with a spark. Brazier from 8 p.m. weekdays on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners. Josh Howie and Ian Stone are with me this evening. We're looking through the papers. Next story, Josh, is Prince Charles once again. He's been in Barbados. That's been dealt with. Now he's dealing with that arguably racist remark concerning the imminent grandson, was it?
Yeah, I mean, this is in The Guardian, where the claim that Prince Charles speculated at the grandchildren's skin colour is fiction. So they're basically printing that this claim is fiction just so that they can print the claim and then say, oh, yeah, but it's fiction. Yeah. You know, I mean, there's no proof of it happening or not. I personally wouldn't take Meghan's word over anything. But I do like that this conversation...
Is it Meghan who has accused him?
Yeah, there was Meghan who accused it in the Oprah interview. But this is what, supposedly the wording of how it happened was, allegedly, was that he said, oh, I wonder what the children will look like. And then Camilla replied, well, absolutely gorgeous, I'm certain. And then he was like, no, I mean, what do you think the children's complexion will be like? So what I like about that, I don't necessarily think that did happen, but if it did happen, it's funny that Camilla obviously saw where this was possibly going. It was like, oh no, I'm sure they're going to be gorgeous. Like, shut up, you idiot. And he was like, no, Camilla, you don't understand what I'm saying. What I'm really saying is that, So, but there's no proof that this happened or not. They deny it. And again, I just think it's a non-story.
How, just on a rating from 1 to 10, if it did happen, how worried would you be about what that said?
I remember when this first came out, the claim, they didn't say who it was.
No.
But I remember hearing people on the news and hearing people who do have children from mixed backgrounds and grandparents, who were curious, like not saying it as like a bad thing, like, oh, I'm curious,
Well, the thing about it is curious for two reasons. One, it would be the first mixed race child to be born into the royal family rather than marry into it. And so that is obviously worth, most people feel that's worth celebrating, don't they? That's supposed to have been a thing that we're supposed to be happy about, and yet if you mention it, then it's problematic. Yeah. But secondly, it is quite random, isn't it? When two people of different complexions, or whatever word you want to use, marry, sometimes you get like an obvious kind of mean. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes it can almost be more like it's, just like one or the other.
Yeah. I think the question is, why did he ask it and who did he ask it to?
Well, if
he did, I used to actually play a game on stage where I'd say, who do you think the racist royal was?
Right.
And we used to start, and obviously if it was Prince Andrew, they would have blamed him, wouldn't they? Because let's be fair, it's easy enough to, he's that as well as the other stuff.
Well, maybe they think he's already been taken out of the game by the Epstein allegation, so they feel like who else can we bring down?
If they're saying it, if he said it as like it's a problem, then that is a problem. If he's saying it like, oh, I wonder what, what their hair colour's going to be, I wonder what I don't see that personally as a problem.
But we don't know how they know that they said that. Who was listening to this? They are surrounded by courtiers, some of whom may well go, do you know what he said? And then twist things a little bit.
Well, they're probably surrounded by MI6, aren't they? There must be a recording of it somewhere, you would imagine. 50 years' time, it will come out. I'm going to hang on. Ian, we got a story in from the US of A, I believe.
Kamala Harris and Michelle Obama lead the list of Democratic contenders for the 2024 election. Survey finds. This is in the Eye.
What, to be candidate for president?
Yes, because America will definitely vote for a black woman as president, won't they? Let's be fair. I think that is, there's a shoo-in.
Michelle has never shown any inclination to stand.
She keeps saying there'd be too much pressure on her family.
Yeah.
I think the big question is, Joe Biden is 79 right now. He will be 82 in 2024. There are some sprightly 82-year-olds. You're doing okay. You're doing okay, Simon. I think he's good for 82, isn't it? Don't you think? But I'm not sure that Joe Biden will be up to another term, and so this conversation has to take place. Kamala Harris is obviously in the box seat, being the vice president, and some of the others. Bernie Sanders is also there, but Bernie Sanders is also a pretty great age as well, isn't he? So,
you know who's younger than all of them? Bill Clinton.
And he's got no baby at all, isn't he? Exactly. So this is the early runners and riders, and there's also, by the way, talk about Donald Trump and whether he's going to run again in 2024 for the Democrats this time, because he's burnt his bridges with the Republican Party. But I can't see America voting for either of those candidates.
It may be, though, that Trump has moved the needle so far away from what used to be regarded as the bare fundamentals of what you had to have, that Michelle Obama is kind of in a very good, strong position. She's a celebrity. She's a
celebrity. But I think she's too smart to go for it. She just doesn't. And that's what makes her so appealing, because she knows the damage it would do to her family and has her priorities right.
Although her daughter's grown up now, right?
Yeah, but still the impact that it's going to have on your existence. You saw Barack Obama. He goes in with beautiful black hair. 3 weeks later, he's just all white. It's a very hard job.
As Tony Blair, though, who's absolutely terrifying.
It takes its toll, doesn't it?
Josh, next story, funnily enough, also somebody who's had enough of politics and has decided to try and rescue what's left of her life.
Angela Merkel, who hasn't aged at all in the 1,000 years that she's been in power.
Suspicious, the chemistry postgraduate.
I don't know what contract she signed.
I don't think you should say 1,000 years when we come to Germany.
Just kind of slips off the tongue so easily. So yes, this is in the Mail, and the big news is probably the most exciting thing that's happened during her time in power is that she has chosen a punk song to leave to.
A punk singer, but not a punk song, right?
Yeah, but I suppose she was known for as being one of the originators of punk.
Nina Hagen.
Oh, look, someone's a fan. Yeah,
I was a fan. It was in 1978 she brought out a song that I really quite liked.
She was attractive. This is before the internet.
She was the godmother.
She looked like Susie Sue, and she was a bit more authentic in a way.
But it's a bit more cabaret, the song that she's chosen.
Yeah, it is. It's
but
that's her version. She probably thinks it's punk, but it's cabaret.
What's the song called?
It is called You Forgot the Colour Film.
Do we know what it means, the lyric? Is it about a lovely event and they didn't?
I think it's about, and this I don't want to read too much into it, but it could be about someone forgetting a colour film.
That's exactly I don't know what it's about. That is what it's about. They went on holiday and somebody, her boyfriend, forgot the colour film.
It must have an allegorical meaning for Angela
I don't
Merkel,
think so.
Do you not think? No?
No, I think it was just because it was
she's done 30 years ruling Germany and somebody forgot to load the film.
Well, I think people are trying to read in lots. It could be she just likes the song.
She might fancy Nina. I mean, it would be perfectly reasonable. She was a very good-looking woman.
That's a possibility. I couldn't
she
possibly
might be
comment.
finally making that overture. The Times has a story in, and this is about The Simpsons, and more to the point, Disney Plus and their craven cowardice in confronting Chinese censorship.
Well,
not to overload it.
Lead the witness in any way. Well, this is basically what the Times story is about. Censorship fears as Disney Plus drops the Simpsons Tiananmen Square episode in Hong Kong. It's a very funny episode, which we all said beforehand we'd all seen, where the Simpsons family go to Beijing, and there are various jokes. One of them when they turn up in Tiananmen Square, and there's a sign that says, on this site in 1989, nothing happened. And we all know that in China they don't mention Tiananmen Square. You can't get it on the internet, can you? So it's blocked, and a whole generation of Chinese children probably do not know about this event. And basically Disney have been accused of bowing to Beijing by removing an episode of The Simpsons from its new service in Hong Kong.
I mean, I don't see the word accused seems like it's like you bowed to Hong Kong. Look, they're a big corporation, and China's a massive market, but that doesn't make it admirable. And this is.
Do you remember when it was only, I think, about a year ago, maybe the Black Lives Matter, maybe 18 months ago, Black Lives Matter protests, and I think his name's John Boyega, an actor who was been in the Star Wars reboot. And he was up on a platform going, I don't know if I'm even going to have a career after this. And I was thinking, oh, come on, mate. It's like, everyone loves Black Lives Matter. But then it came out that he was like, he's already not on the posters for Star Wars in China because
there's a racist
because they're
country.
racist.
I mean, Arsenal, as an Arsenal fan, Mesut Ozil made a very pointed tweet about the Uyghurs. And suddenly the Chinese were threatening not to show the Premier League in China. And they've got so much money that it's very, very difficult to fight against. I mean, obviously the Beatles documentary is doing pretty well, but maybe there's no anti-Chinese references in Get Back.
Well, there kind of is. There's an anti-Chinese reference sitting there next to John Lennon throughout most of that documentary, but never mind. In the Mail, Josh, you have Piers Corbin with a flash mob about masks. I think this is another story about improvising great musicals, future standards in real time.
Piers Corbin. Crank, the favourite of my Corbyn brothers. Yes, they recorded a video. It's called here a low-budget production. It's literally pointed on their phone. Has done it. It's terrible. And it's the lyrics are, and it's just them repeating the same words over and over again. Wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers.
Have we got a clip of this? I think we might have a clip. Is it coming up?
It's.
Wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers. Wearing a mask.
It's quite something to see that in the same week that Stephen Sondheim passed away, isn't it? The flame has been passed on.
Number one, I would suggest for all of those people, brush your teeth. If that's what it's like, if wearing a mask is like trying to keep a fart in your trousers, then I would suggest that all of them maybe brush their teeth.
They just don't understand marketing apart from science.
I have to say, that's the first time I've seen that video, because I just thought, I don't want this. I don't want to see this. I know what these idiots are singing about, and I do think they're idiots, and I wish they'd stop it. And I feel for the other people on the train as well.
I think it was empty, but I think it's funny because it's in the Mail, and the Mail, whoever wrote this has got a pretty good sense of humour, because they said the composer behind the song is not fully known.
The composer? Wow.
They must have been giggling to themselves when they wrote that.
I mean, it had a little bit of Rodgers and Hart vibe to me.
It sounds to me like a sort of...
But the way the the line ran on over the natural meter. That was quite like Tim Minchin, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, most of Twitter was discussing whether you want to keep a fart in your trousers or let it out of your trousers.
There is a brand of underpants that is advertised over the urinals in service stations now. I think they're Australian, and they claim to actually do that to keep the fart in your pants.
Right.
I can't remember what they call. Chunkies or something like that? That can't be right. That's horrible.
Well, I know where I'm heading after this. Thank you so much. That's my Christmas present sorted.
You use service stations. Maybe I use them more. I don't know. But, there's only 3 or 4 things that are advertised over the urinals in service stations. It's speed camera alert systems, anti-impotence treatments, hair loss treatments, and now this is...
These as well.
No wonder you're spending so much time there, mate.
Absolutely. I have a full rack, and none of my life gets no better.
This could be number 1, by the way. Xmas number 1. I think that's what we should be.
How?
The cranks could fight for it to get to number 1.
Ian, you've got a story for us a little more serious. This is about the potential for France to elect a full-blown Nazi. That's offensive because he's Jewish, isn't he?
He is Jewish, and some people say that he's a Holocaust denier, but he has denied that he's a Holocaust denier. But he is a far-right polemicist. He's Eric Zemmour, and he gave a French voter the finger. This is in the Times. He was in Marseille. A woman came up and gave him the finger. He gave her the finger back. And now they're saying that he might be unfit for office. Never mind some of the awful things he's saying about Islam and immigration, but giving the finger to someone who's giving the finger to him. I actually don't think that's that bad. Of all the things that he's done.
It's a cultural thing, isn't it? I think it depends on different countries. The finger means different degrees.
But he said that he wanted it to go very deep.
Yeah.
I mean, is that what the gesture? I never thought that.
Warding off the evil eye or something.
I don't know. I'm just saying, when I've done it, I didn't imagine myself inserting myself in somebody.
No, absolutely.
That makes it a very different gesture.
This one, of course, the French don't like that, do they? Because that is supposed to be about Agincourt. Although I think that's
it's
a myth.
The archers and all that sort of stuff. Right. Okay. Look, this is what he did. I think it shows a sort of
character.
I was going to say a sort of human side. I mean, we all talk about our politicians maybe seeing them.
Well, we all loved it when
normal.
John Prescott lamped that protest.
We did, and he did that after being provoked by having someone throw an egg at him. But I don't like the guy's views, and I think that's more important and makes him more unfit for office than giving the finger.
I would suggest he has more in common with Johnson, as he is 63 with a pregnant 28-year-old partner.
That's very impressive. I think that's going to win French heart.
Impressive.
He is saying, isn't he, and there has been a certain amount of agitation about this from the military, I think, recently as well, that things are sliding towards civil war in France, which is, I mean, an extraordinary thing that you don't get any sort of sense of.
It's not helpful.
No.
To say things like that. But they do have, I mean, Marine Le Pen, I don't know how well she's doing in these elections, but they have quite a serious support there. They have
25%. So she's 25%, and they're saying that he's on about 14%.
Yeah, well, perhaps. Listen, they've had revolutions before.
Yeah. So. They are feisty buggers. And talking of feisty buggers, some lucky buggers got trapped in a pub for 3 days. They've finally been released. I get trapped. I'm always a little bit suspicious about that. No exits available?
Yeah,
or was the door
in the Mail, there was a 4-day lock-in that's now just come to an end. And they had a Oasis tribute act, and the landlady said that she just wants to listen to Blur after this.
So why was the lock-in for 4 days?
It was snowed in, and they were all trapped there.
Sorry?
This is in Yorkshire.
The highest pub in the country, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it? It's a very high one in on the Cat's Back or something near Macclesfield. Not that one.
No, it's not. So 60 people were trapped in there.
Oh, I think it is that one.
It is.
I think it is that one. Yeah.
Britain's
Have you done a gig there?
Cat and Fiddle, it's called. The Cat and Fiddle.
This is the Tan Hill Inn.
Oh, is it different? Okay,
how would you feel about being trapped in? Thank God it wasn't a comedy night. Can you imagine being trapped in after the gig for the next 3 days?
We know comedians who would do 3 days before they bring someone on. Let's be fair, right? We know who I'm talking about here. But there were some lines in this story that were absolutely wonderful. She was interviewed on the radio this morning, the pub's manager, and she said, "I was relieved it's Noasis," this is the tribute band, rather than Oasis. She'd rather be with the tribute band than the real band. I think it's because with tribute bands, you only get the hits.
Yeah.
Whereas Oasis go, here's some new material.
Well, I think it might have ended in violence if it had been the actual Oasis.
Yeah, I tell you, one of the saddest things I ever saw was a Kylie Minogue tribute act. This was about 10 years ago, advertised on a station in Leicester, I think it was.
Right.
And supporting the tribute act, was Jason Donovan.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
The actual Dorsey, yeah. He whose fortunes have since improved, I wouldn't tell that story because I think he was at a low ebb, but he's come back since then.
Bruce Foxton, ex of the Jam, now plays in From the Jam, a Jam tribute band, and people really love them as well. Do you know they're also tribute comedians?
Yeah. Roy Chubby Brown's got one, and just based on his looks alone, I think he's Jewish, which I find quite interesting. He looks like a classic old school, like Catskills sort of Jewish comedian.
I want to see this Roy Chubby Brown.
Well, I want to see what you think someone who's Jewish looks like.
Well, more like you, but a bit like me. Anyway.
But I like the thing that I like is that they did a whip around at the end. 7 members of staff, and they raised £300 in cash. But when you work it out, that's £43 for a 72-hour shift. That's not great.
Not bad. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for tonight. My thanks to my 2 Roy Chubby Brown tribute acts tonight. That is Ian Stone and Josh Howie. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you again tomorrow. I'll be back on Wednesday, and I think you've got Dominic Frisby in this seat tomorrow. My apologies to Mr. Holland, who no longer needs to work due to having a famous son. Good night.
It's time to remind ourselves there's always another winter. Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
Hello again. Pretty chilly out there today, but tomorrow temperatures will be quite a bit higher. However, it is going to be a fairly grey Tuesday, and there'll be rain and drizzle in places as well. But it has turned milder across the northwest already thanks to this warm front tucked in here, some warmer air that is slowly spreading its way southwards. Before it arrives, though, with clearer skies, we could see a touch of frost across the southeast until temperatures rise through the night as the cloud moves in, making for a misty, murky kind of night. And at times it'll be quite windy, particularly in the far northeast, although the wind's easing here a little as we head towards dawn. Temperatures, as I say, on the rise. So although close to freezing in some spots this evening, by morning we're up at 8, 9, 10 Celsius. So it's a much milder start, but it's a pretty grey day. Rain and drizzle on and off across Scotland throughout tomorrow and for much of Northern Ireland, northwest England. Some patchy rain at times across eastern England, but much of the south, I suspect, will be dry but fairly drab. Temperatures will be quite a bit higher than today's values. Still fairly chilly across Shetland, but elsewhere double figures, maybe 13 Celsius. But more wet weather will pep up through the afternoon and evening for Northern Ireland and then across Scotland. Quite a wet evening. A band of rain will swing across England and Wales. That could be quite lively for a time as well as the winds start to pick up once more, so turning blustery and also colder for Wednesday. We should see a return of some sunshine, but there will be showers across all areas, those showers turning wintry across northern Scotland, so some snow here, mostly over hills, but some to lower levels later in the day, and the winds picking up once more. Temperatures on Wednesday back down to single figures, and add on that wind, it will feel a lot colder. So things fluctuating quite a bit this week. Thursday looks like being a cold day, but with some sunshine before the potential for more wetter weather comes in during Friday and Saturday.
Canary Islands sponsors the weather.
You're watching GB News live across the UK and the world on our digital stream.
GB News is Britain's news channel.
We are the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
We are here for you. Don't forget to join our YouTube community by clicking on that subscribe button.